An online conspiracy group called QAnon is being debunked by one of the group's founders. One America's Jack Posobiec spoke with one of the former top members of the group and has this exclusive.
For the past 10 months, an online movement has been picking up steam in America and has moved from online forums to Reddit to Twitter and to YouTube. It leapt from the little screen to the big screen when people began showing up at political rallies wearing shirts and waving signs that carried the name of the movement, QAnon, or simply Q. What is QAnon? Where did it come from? What is its purpose? And most importantly, who is Q? Well, Q first made its appearance on the web forum known as 4chan in October of 2017, referring to himself as the Q clearance patriot. Q messages, known as drops, follow a pattern of Socratic method questioning, cryptic messages, riddles, and coded drops of information. The earliest Q drops referenced an upcoming arrest of Hillary Clinton to take place on October 30th, 2017. That didn't happen. Instead, what happened on October 30th was quite the contrary. It was the exact opposite of the poster's prediction. Trump campaign officials and advisors, Paul Manafort, Rick Gates, and George Papadopoulos were all indicted. Manafort and Gates were placed under home arrest. Q would go on to report many more predictions in these drops, without any clear sign of them ever coming true. Several months before this occurred, a Twitter user named Dreamcatcher reached out to this reporter and told me about an op that he was planning with notorious pro-Trump troll Microchip that would plant bits of information on 4chan and act like it was coming from a high-level source inside the administration or the intelligence community. That later became the QAnon operation. I obtained chat logs from the two at that time in August of 2017, which back up their statements to us. That signing FBI Anon is good too, looks spooky, but we should do our own thing, one of them wrote. Let's use the Socratic method to question people, and they're going to flip on suggestions alone, said Microchip. Just sign it Micro, Dreamcatcher replied. But the response was that they needed something more sinister, and Q was born. Well, that's why I asked Microchip to record a video of himself opening up the Discord app on his iOS and scrolling through his screen to show us that the messages were not photoshopped or recreated in any way. Here is that video. I also interviewed Microchip to hear his take on the why and the how he created Q.
With the QAnon stuff, this wasn't something that was, this is a hard one to explain because this wasn't something planned, like we just came together and said, this is our operation to take out something, right? It wasn't like that. This happened actually, I would say it's more of a mistake that it happened, right? But I've infiltrated Antifa groups. You have literature that they talk about, right? That there's dissident books and things like that of how to, riot.
So they're obsessed with what I would say some of the anarchist writers and socialist anarchist writers from Europe in the 1900s, I've noticed.
Yeah, yes, big time, right? And it comes to the Saul Alinsky type stuff, right? Like how the rules for radicals, how to disrupt society, etc. And one of those books that they came up with was was Q by the Italian author guy, right? And in that book, he did the ominous messaging, and he would sign his messages as Q. We wanted to do something else. We started talking about different ways that we could engage Trump supporters, and then we came up with a list of different things like, what are these people interested in that sparks their attention. You've got George Soros, you've got Obama working with CIA and FBI to smear Trump in this Russia investigation. Once Trump was inaugurated, there was a lot of talk about that. You've got Trump surrounding himself with generals. People thought that he was going to, start World War III and things like that. Alex Jones, spewed out a bunch of stuff about war and all kinds of crazy theories. And so this was what was getting Trump supporters excited. We put together a list of different questions that would spark people's attentions or different items. We filtered it out, and randomly, one day, Dreamcatcher, on a post on 4chan, there was a post where somebody said Hillary Clinton will be arrested, shortly, right? Something like that. It was complete stupidity because she's not arrested. And it was one of those things where somebody was trying to set up some type of a gaslight type campaign, right, again. And so, because we've been talking about this stuff, Dreamcatcher went to the next level, and he took that whole snippet and he added that she'll be arrested at this specific time within the next few days or something, right? And people responded to it. But the problem with the QAnon stuff, and I'm glad that our small group left, and it's not that we were ever a part of making the full QAnon, but it's turned dangerous, and I don't like that. I mean, some of the stuff that's happening, it seems pretty dangerous. These people are being gaslit by whoever's doing it now. I didn't want it to go that far. It was like this was meant to be just like a small unifying factor, just like the petition, right? Something quick, easy, done, out the door. It wasn't meant to go as far as it has with, and I can't remember the stories of what the QAnon people are doing now.
One guy thought that he was being told by voices to kill the president. We saw someone who tried to essentially cause a scene at the Hoover Dam with his van to force the DOJ to release the IG report. That's a big one that's been pointed out a lot.
None of the stuff that we would ever troll on is supposed to go that far. It's meant to be funny, to get people's imaginations going. The point is people are being exploited by others who are cognizant of that whole process within Trump supporters' minds, and they're being used, and I feel terrible about that. Part of the reason I even decided to speak about this story is because QAnon is dangerous, and I've spoken about this since early 2017. I told people, you've got to stop doing it, and I never wanted to be attached to it. That's why I've not said anything about it, but now is the time to come out and say, it's time to be done, guys. There is something going on with Trump, but QAnon is not going to solve your problems. There is no mysterious agency that's magically going to come save you, riding in on a white horse, like I guess Mormons would believe. But the idea is that you have to get out and you have to actually do stuff, because QAnon is not going to save you. You've got to go out and vote. You've got to go out and do activism. You can't just sit at home and then hope that these magical guys behind the scenes are magically going to save the USA, because they're not there.
Well, Microchip and his cohorts dropped off on Q posts fairly early on, but a new crew caught on to the op. This crew brought the Q postings first from 4chan onto a new board controlled by themselves on the message board 8chan. They began to introduce the aspect of trip codes and changing these trip code passwords to validate the Q persona. Then they decided to find more user-friendly ground by founding Reddit pages such as CBTS, Calm Before the Storm, and The Great Awakening. Along the way, many people came and went from the group posting as QAnon. Apparently, there is an online market for anonymous posts from unknown sources. Thousands of dollars have been made by the professional Q decoders, while others turn the movement into a cheap buck by profiting off of merchandise and paid mobile apps. The people currently making the most money off of Q appear to be the Patriot Soapbox group. Numerous times through their user, Pamphlet Anon, he has revealed himself to have had access to Q's trip code passwords and has even accidentally posted as Q while logged in on 8chan via livestream. He also once, embarrassingly, was caught claiming a post was from Q that did not contain the actual trip code validation. Not that hard to figure out how he knew about the post when no one else did. He recently set up an LLC out of his parents' house to take in more donations from Q followers. Recently, both Sarah Huckabee Sanders and Sean Spicer have been asked to confirm if Q was a real source. They both flatly denied that there was any truth to the posts. For those who followed this online movement, this information may come as somewhat of a shock, but hopefully this information will be seen as a helpful reminder to question anonymous sources on the internet and to remain skeptical of claims when events and situations take other directions, as has been the case here. While the people involved in this movement may have begun posting as Q for whatever reason, the fact remains that people did enjoy these posts in this form of information. And perhaps that can be the starting off point for a new series of riddles and puzzles and a new type of information system. There certainly appears to be an interest in it. But from the start, whoever ends up running it should always be open, honest, and truthful about who they are and what their motives are. Jack Posobiec, One American News.
Experience Apex, Anti-Pathogen Extreme, Antiviral, Antibacterial, and Anti-Inflammatory. See all the videos on our site. There is nothing else like it. Apex Water for Life.
Not only am I going to show you that the original QAnon right now, but I'm going to put all the pieces together for you, expose a few people in the process, and by the end, no one will be able to argue this fact with anyone because we've got the hardcore evidence right in front of our eyes. So what do I have to show you with this? First off, microchip, and through Jack P, came out that microchip is Q. If you look right here, these are the Discord logs. Let me prove to you that microchip was the first Q. Let me prove to you the shills that knew that he was the first Q but didn't tell us, changed their narrative to suit their growth of their channels. Let me show you who microchip is and how he fits into the narrative, because I'm gonna blow your damn mind right now. My entire investigation only needed this one thing to be able to bring this all to you. Here we go right now on UniRock. So what am I telling you here? First up is the Discord logs. Microchip says, yep, didn't go as far, it was a dud. All right, well, we can keep trying other methods. Maybe we simplify it into questions and let the imagination run wild. This is on 10/22 of 2017. All the dates coincide with the original Q post. Let's just list out what we have so far. Talk about CIA and Mockingbird as our operation. This is before the Q posts, right before them. I checked it in Photoshop to make sure that these are not fake Discord logs. Sorts, but really meaningless, give the spooky facts. People wonder why Clinton hasn't been arrested for breaking the law. Why does the media keep patting Trump so poorly? They coordinated with intel agencies. Why is Wiener let off the hook? This ties into the this engine that drives them. Yeah, man, I think that's better than the approach. I'll get people thinking it, and it'll be a rallying call. Oh, well, they already talk about it nonstop. Look what Jones is churning out on InfoWars. Dude is talking about going at war nonstop, etc. It's what these people are interested in. I'll reclip these in just a minute. Now, they talk about how the original didn't go that far. Let me re-grab this one. Here, let me reclip this so we can see it. Okay. Yep, didn't go very far. It was a dud. All right, well, can we keep trying other methods, maybe? This was a part of the original one I just saw. All right, that sounds like a plan. We can clean some up. I will read through the thread and come up with some questions, but I'm going to sleep. I'll chat with you. When you wake up, check this out. Our outline. Talked about CIA Mockingbird as our operation. Why does the media keep patting Trump poorly? Soros, everyone is intrigued at that topic. People also believe the two-party system is a hoax. They don't believe in the R's and the D's. ISIS is a big deal because everyone's speculating the ISIS did the Vegas, which everyone knows is unlikely, but still isn't stopping people speculating. Why is Trump being controlled by generals? Kelly, I see people ask that a lot. Here's articles on it. Then they put in PG right there. Also, saw the same dumb thing about Hillary on Twitter now. The info spreads quickly. We could troll this, but I doubt it goes anywhere. It went a little wild, and he points on 10/28 of 17 after talking about it before the posts. He talks about the first post and how it actually went somewhere. That's fucking wild, man. That's some Adderall posting good work. We got to try some other stuff, too. This thread with Hannity is going apeshit. All right, gotta run. I'll be back. These kids are going wild on the HRC stuff. Different IDs like coordinated attack. They link again. Kids are going absolutely nuts on something. Is it happening? Check this out. I wanted to see what would happen. And he shows more links that line up. Microchip says that signing FBI anon is too good, though. It looks spooky, but should do our thing. Like, change the name to something else and use the Socratic fucking method to question stuff out of people. This is what I do while I troll. It works well. Gets people excited. They flip shit on suggestion alone. You know we've been doing this forever. We should think of something. Just sign it micro. No, that's too obvious. Has to be something more sinister than the FBI anon shit. Right there! Oh my god! And... what? They are reading about a radicalized or so on by Italians. This book is called Q. Dude signed everything with Q. I wanted to read the book thing to see if we could put all, like, Alinsky tactics and such. Found that info. I put that Q book on my timeline months ago. Let me check it out. What's the name? Q, a novel by Luther Blissett. First published Italian in '99. The Italian novel. Now, who is Microchip? Who is QAnon? Who is the original QAnon? Jordan Sather told all of you. James Brower. But wait. If Q's James Brower, and if it's on his whiteboard with his fucking finger pointing at it, why didn't anyone believe it? And how does that make sense if microchip is Q? Well, let me show you something that I found deep in the recesses of the internet during my investigations. This is gonna blow your fucking mind out. So this is James Brower's Twitter account before he deleted the entire thing right when Q popped off. Him accidentally posting on Twitter as his secondary Twitter account, Microchip. This went unnoticed by everyone out there. I noticed it and saved it, but I didn't know what to do with it. This is Microchip as none other than James Brower, and I can prove it to you. Everyone, if you go search for JBro_1776, do you remember me sitting here in my stream saying this guy has to be the original Q? Because of the 1776. I've got it in like 17 of my streams. Me sitting here pointing at that 1776, saying this J-Bro guy is always talking about 1776 all the way back years ago before QAnon. And look, James Brower, is posting as Micro-fucking-Chip, and then Microchip has chat logs now from Discord that prove it. He's the one that gave them. Microchip gave them to fucking... what's his name? Jack Pacific. And look who knew the whole time. Mr. Jordan Sather. This is why Sather's the biggest QTuber. This is. Because he's in league with it the whole time. That's why he won't let it go. That's why he ignores any debunks on any of his material. That's why he had the most to gain from it. And that's why after the very first post, when Mr. Sather had never, ever posted about... any type of 4chan shit ever, the very first Q post pops up. Before it even goes viral, Mr. Sather's first video comes out the day after the first Q post, when no one's even paying attention to it, because Brower told him. Because Brower gave him the info. He says in this video that Brower is Q.
For fourth evening.
This is back in the beginning.
Here. First, I want to say a big thank you to you. Success. And I was going to take today off, obviously, because I've been doing so many of these, but with the way things are going, and with this storm part, so we can through everything, the fourth, I will, it's a long entity, and anyway, this poster Q revealed his alleged identity, and is a guy by the name of James Browers, who was a former state assistant in the Trump administration. It looked.
Not only that, Unirock, are you gonna blow our minds out of our skulls even more? James Brower was on fucking InfoWars back in the beginning. James Brower has ties to InfoWars back in the beginning. That's probably how they got their foot in the door for the interviews. Why would Brower want to show his face on him? He wouldn't. Where do you think Baruch and Pamphlet came in? Then Pamphlet took over for Brower with fucking Baruch. I've proven it. I can prove it again, damn it, too. They didn't like the fact that Baruch would not monetize Q, so they stabbed him in the back and Trojan horsed his ass. Pamphlet took over the account and rode it right down into the dirt. Constantly talking about war with other countries. Constantly talking about trusting the plan and sitting back and relaxing. Maxing all cool. Shooting some cue ball outside of the school. When a couple of guys who are up to no good just revealed who Q was to you. That's me. I'm the dude that was up to no good. At least that's what they say. Anyway. What else can be revealed out of these Discord logs? They talk about the approach of Q, dated before Q. They talk about what they're going to do with it. Now, this is important to see also because there's an interview with who I believe is James Brower, but he calls himself Microchip. I'm sure some people are going to say, how do you know that Micro is Q? Because he released Discord logs that I have processed through Photoshop to make sure he didn't edit the dates or anything else with the images. He's released Discord logs where they are talking about creating Q. how they got the name of Q, what they wanted to do with Q, to troll. It came from an internet message board where not a single real thing has ever come out of it other than people talking, LARPing, hanging out, having fun, doing research, and trolling. Not a single famous person ever goes there and does anything. Why do people create these big imaginative things on message boards like this? To troll people, but they do it because that's just part of the culture there. They don't expect people to actually believe this kind of thing when they do it. So it's not like Microchip. I'll defend Microchip here. It's not like he had some bad intent. He was trying to get people to think, research together, have fun, do the whole FBI anon type thing over again, you know, where they, you know, although I don't agree with the misinformation and the way it does fool people, but I will say this. We've never seen something come off the chans and act like this before. I doubt that he planned for this to happen. But when they saw that it was happening and the dates line up, y'all, they're even linking to the Q posts themselves here and talking about what they're going to say before they say it in the Q posts. This is what you call evidence of something. Not only that, Microchip has been under our radar because we've been looking at this dude, James Brower, who is connected to the original, he's in a lot of videos that have to do with QAnon when it comes to investigating. James Brower. Not only was James Brower on InfoWars, not only was he talked about by Jordan Sather in the beginning, but also he was busted out posting as Micro. Now, I don't know if this is true or not. This could be fake. I haven't checked the validity of it too hardcore. But in the end, though, what we have for fact here is that Q was created by Dreamcatcher and Micro. The original posts on the board and 4chan. And what happened when they stopped why is it? I've always told people to think logically with this. What did the original Q say during his last post? When was his last post? Before it moved to boards. He said it was done with. He said it's over, it's done. You have the information, take it to where what you will. And then all of a sudden, Baruch and Pamphlet make a board, and Q ironically starts posting there with a trip code for the first time. And then when they get chased off of 4chan, Q follows them to 8chan. And Q follows Pamphlet to every board that Pamphlet creates on 8chan. But no, Pamphlet didn't take over the Q account with Baruch the Scribe. And when Baruch didn't want to monetize Q, just like he stated here that he doesn't think you should monetize it, and the second Q did say you shouldn't monetize and make money off of Q. Remember those posts? Remember the post, the post that got everybody fighting with Corsi? All of this came to fruition. Everything's laid out perfectly for everyone. Let me go ahead and tell you what happened, because I was there through it all. I was one of the first people to post on Q, other than Sather and Defango and Tracy Beans, on YouTube, I mean, because Defango and some of his subs came over and said, yo, do a video on this thing, man. And I was I've followed it the whole time. I'm one of the first people to come out and try to tell you I was going to investigate what it was, because I realized something was very wrong with it after the trip hack. And I've been here through the whole thing. Let me tell you exactly what happened. So what happened was Microchip and Dreamcatcher started QAnon. This is overwhelming, damning evidence that any QTuber, any Q follower that wants to say, oh, I don't buy it, Microchip didn't start it, then how do you reckon these Discord logs? These are logs. These are generated by a program from what these guys typed in before Q posted. How do you reckon that? So we've got Microchip and Dreamcatcher posting the original post and it taking off. They started running with it, trolling everybody, fucking with everyone's heads, doing a normal 4chan type of thing. The same thing that's happened on 4chan the entire time 4chan's been there. They set it down, and that's when Baruch the Scribe and Pamphlet said to themselves, we could pick this up and take it to YouTube. We could take it further. We could be the bakers, the guys behind Q, and Q's the government leaker next to Trump putting it out, and they did. The evidence? Q, not only do we have Pamphlet posting as Q 6 times recorded, Not only do we have all the evidence that was put out by everyone that's investigated this, the links inside of web pages, all the Q web pages leading back to these same bakers and people, Nemos, Pamphlet, you know, they got Praying Medic in the original group. They've got all the, you know, original Q-tubers. Probably why Beans left, you know. But moving forward from there, the bakers wanted to make some cash. And in January, they changed trip codes to get rid of Baruch the Scribe so that they could do their operation, so they could continue it. Baruch was in another country. Pamphlet's in the United States with the other bakers. He's got people underneath him that'll do what he tells them to do no matter what, as long as they're making money. And Pamphlet takes over the account. If Q would have just made his own board instead of following the bakers everywhere they went, which was led by Pamphlet after he stabbed Baruch in the back and threw him off the proverbial rope bridge, just like in Game of Thrones with the king in the Iron Islands. If he would have just made his own board, we wouldn't have any of this information. That was the red flag that got us all looking. That's what made us track their Bitcoin addresses and track their pay links and find out where every different website, every different money-making scheme attached to Q led back to these people. The Patriot Soapbox is in control of Q right now, along with Medic and the other guys and Nemos and all the guys that work together. And now we know Sather's involvement was more. What made Sather and Beans decide, oh my God, I got to start covering this the day after the first post? The day after the first post. Not a week after, once it started gaining traction. Not 3 days after it gained the tiniest bit of traction. Before it gained any traction at all. Why did they dump what they normally would cover to cover Q like it's the new god? Because they're in on it. We've basically proven all of this up to now. Go watch the videos I did. If you Demon Identity playlist, my entire QAnon expose, and on the main channel, the sum up if you don't believe me. You got all of it in hardcore evidence. I've got live streams for months showing you where every piece of information comes from, so you don't have to trust me at all. You could do this whole investigation yourself by opening up every link I go to, going to every place I went to, and following it. I didn't come out against Q because I wanted to piss people off or troll people. I wanted you not to be misled, tied up, and let down in the end when you found out it was a bunch of trolls. Why couldn't I tell you the first QAnon's identity up until today? Because these chat logs were just released today. How telling is it that Mr. Sather told us that James Brower was Q? How telling was it? Way back in the beginning. How telling is it that I have this thing from the 1st of August 2017 where Microchip is posting on James Brower. James Brower goes to do a post that he's screen sharing, and lo and behold, he's logged in as Microchip. That doesn't... What? I've had all this information the whole time. All I lacked was the original Discord logs. Something I've been begging for people to get out ever since the beginning, because Q went here. Why did Q go here, though? Why are we at this place where Q is doing nothing but trying to instigate you to go to the Great Awakening board so that you will be filtered out to a few key YouTube channels, a few key web pages, and a few key t-shirt stores? Why is this happening instead of it being about what it was in the beginning? Because Pamphlet Anon and all of these bakers, all of these Q-tubers, the ones I've named in the investigation, took control of it. They had only one evil motivation, which was to pad their wallets. And when you're doing things the wrong way for evil reasons, the truth eventually comes to light. Just like Pamphlet said in the QAnon post. You know what Q just told you? Q predicted this. You want to know how he predicted this? He just said, I think yesterday, it's going to be a week to remember. Oh, it sure is now, Q. And, I mean Pamphlet, and Dustin Nemos, and all these other QAnon fools. He said dark to light. One of his newer, right here. Dark, there was once dark. There is now light. Couldn't have said it better myself. Why is this important? Why does this matter? Why should you not follow something that's being controlled by the criminal people that are behind it? How do we know they're criminals? I've shown you their backgrounds. Their backgrounds were exposed on Twitter by Anonymous a long time ago. These guys don't have any care for you, for your country. They only care for their fucking wallet. They didn't want to work anymore. They could barely get jobs with their fucking felonious backgrounds. What's the best thing for them to do? Make a couple videos every day where they pretend to be geniuses and tell you the decoding of a post of a troll online. A troll that they themselves get to control. What were they doing controlling Q? They were conning you with a troll. And I didn't come out and tell you this back in January to try to hurt your feelings. I didn't want this to happen. Look at the place it's at. Look how obvious it is now. When you've got the government leaker feeling like he has to go to 4chan and prove his identity to you and prove his validity and show how the people that are doubting him are wrong. No intel leaker gives a shit what people on 4chan think about him or YouTube. There are too many holes in this story that got us looking into this, and now it's trying to lead you back to Pizzagate. For God's sakes, it wants you constantly fighting with each other. It wants you caught in the left-right paradigm. It wants you, as a Trump supporter, and if you follow Q, you are, to look stupid. Because these guys, their political history suggests that they are not Trump supporters. They're just pretending to be. And I could care less. If you want to let this happen to the base of Trump, let it happen. I'm not in this political game. I know how much it divides and distracts and puts people down, and I try to stay out of it. But if you want to do this to yourselves, you're going to be hating the results, man. You already should be. This thing damaged the ability for Trump next time they vote. And a lot of Republicans. It makes people that are on the side of Q look stupid. Especially when all this baseline, everything coming out of its baseline after a certain point. Why were the original Q posts... Why were they prophetic? Why were they very, why were the original Q posts very deep? Because they were done with the Socratic method from an Italian book that I tweeted to you months and months and months ago. The author himself was bitching about how Q stole his entire Socratic method that he had inside it, which I know the Socratic method doesn't just be represented in that book, but the way he spun what he spun was stolen by Q. And now we've got Discord logs of Microchip talking about this before Q. This is it. Anyone that can't see it now is choosing, violently choosing not to come to terms with reality. And I don't mind if you do choose not to come to terms with reality. That's your choice. I won't hate you. But I will say this. At some point, everyone has got to wake up. The community has been decimated on YouTube. People that are looking for the truth, people that are looking to get, good information out to people, the community has been decimated. And it's been decimated by liars. When something is built on a lie, the whole lie it's built on is that it was a government leaker next to Trump. It's just people on 4chan, y'all. And move to 8chan. If you get kicked off 4chan because your shit's so bad, then you should definitely not put some credence into this thing. He's already being targeted on Gab by a bunch of people that are acting like they're hurt, being like, why'd you do this? Why would you troll people like this? Why would you fake being Q? Why would you invent this thing? And you could say, well, it's brought a lot of people together. If you bring a lot of people together and you're inciting them to do bad things, if you're inciting them to be distracted by a lot of things, and you're inciting a large number of the group to violence and hateful means, it's not a good movement. What would be a better movement is actually trying to get back into the community that's been here the whole time, to drop the political nonsense, drop the political divide, try to do good things to wake people up and get people thinking and realizing the truth behind things. You get what I'm saying? So one more time, what do we have now? On Microchip's Gab, he released the Discord logs, dated before the original Q post, where he's literally discussing the entirety of Q before it even happened. with links. So before they talk about what they're gonna do, they show when they did it. They're showing each other the links to the boards where they put the posts up, and they're laughing about it and talking about how crazy it is that it's starting to get attention. What's sick is, this shit that I've been telling you guys about the QTubers this entire time, I was dead on the money. The entire time, dead on the money. Microchip just admitted that he laid Q down. It was picked up by these guys that we know who they are, the ones that ran the board where Q was posting. Thanks, Dodge. I don't have my Streamlabs up. I'll pull it up really quick. I just hope that the community can get back to what it was before Q. It was a massive number of people all working together, all trying to make videos to expose things that they thought were legit and needed attention. And people weren't too busy dividing themselves, weren't too busy arguing about the legitness of this thing. Awesome reveal. Check mod room for Unirock meme. You've earned it. Will do, man. But you get what I'm saying. Not a bad thing that this happened. No one should feel bad if they believed it. Everybody wants. That's tight, dude. Everybody wants things to get better. The truth of the matter is, it doesn't happen behind an anonymous face. It can. Things can help from behind an anonymous face, but it takes other people to then step up and start trying to do things together, like we're trying to do on YouTube this whole time. Build communities of people that are willing to look past the things that are going on around us, look deeper, see the real meaning, see what the MSM's really doing, to see what the major corporations are really doing. And now, how easy is it to determine that this was the plan the whole time? Using QAnon as an affront to inflict censorship upon people. Because once you start censoring people at the max, you can go do it to more people after you get the first one. Now we can all get past listening to these ridiculous posts that are going on that don't mean anything when they used to actually have a deeper meaning. The meaning left, ironically, right after Microchip set the account down is when the meaning left, and it became this surface level crazy thing like this. At least Microchip was injecting some real thought processes into it in the beginning. Now you've got surface level news and surface level political opinion injected into a group of people that would normally be too busy researching things and trying to get to the truth on situations than to be looking at the political divide and supporting the political divide as much as this thing has had you do. Even toward today, these posts. Well, Q, you definitely, Pamphlet, you definitely had your last hurrah. Because after today, everyone knows the full story. You've been able to capitalize off of this for this entire time. Very slowly now, as this information starts to spread, as it gets tweeted, as it gets shared, as more YouTubers talk about it, as more people show the Discord logs that are dated before the Q post and during the Q post, the original first ones, and then you start to think about how deceitful these YouTubers have been with you, maybe people will start waking up to what they've done, not only to the Q movement, but to the truth community as a whole, because they've injected some of the biggest dividing anyone's ever. We've got people that have been here for years. We've got people like the big truth channels, Truth Stream Media, seeing the huge divide. That's one channel that most everybody respects on YouTube as bringing well-written, well-produced truth every time they make a video, and they see the massive divide created. We can see that the effect of this is not to do what it says it's doing, but to do the opposite. Yeah, it wants to bring people together, but it wants to bring sheep together that aren't really woke up. And those people get to represent who is a conspiracy theorist, who is someone that seeks the truth, the surface level sheep that aren't even really woke yet, they get to stand in front of the cameras and make everyone that's searching for the truth look bad thanks to the movement in front of us. But thank God today, the truth is revealed. The last puzzle pieces. What would be nice is to have these guys come out and tell the truth, the ones that picked up Q after Microchip set it down. It'd be nice to have Baruch now come out and say, yeah, you know what, I'm going to just say it. Pamphlet stabbed me in the fucking back and took control of the trip code and outed me. I don't know what Baruch's, unless it's a big fake out and Baruch is still working with them, I don't know what Baruch's fucking thing is to keep perpetrating this. It's all out now. Microchips trolled us with Dreamweaver and a few other people probably. Dreamcatcher, whatever his name was. Microchip got bored of it and saw it was turning into this massive crazy thing. He set it down. These guys, as soon as they know, and Q said this. Q said, this is the final post, and we all were shocked to see that he was posting again on a different board. Who was running the board? Pamphlet. What did I come out and tell you on my main channel? I said, guys, we don't know that this is the original Q. And why is a board where Pamphlet and Monkey, or what's his name, Code Monkey? Pamphlet and Code Monkey are running this board, and all of a sudden Q shows up there after he just told us he was never going to post again. I was saying this on Unirock back in the day, and everybody was labeling me, you're trying to put down Q and stop the movement. No, I'm trying to tell you that Code Monkey and Pamphlet are fucking with your heads, guys. Now he's got you donating over on a YouTube channel, spending all your time staring at people just blabbing their mouths off, talking for 24 hours a day. So that he can come on for 20 minutes a day if you're lucky and troll you or other YouTubers that know the truth. Just to keep a hold of his fucking money plan. Guess what people do that control boards on 4chan and 8chan? They get to choose what trip codes post there. Yeah, they do. They can turn off trip codes altogether. They can delete any post they want on the board. This board, even one of my posts, I trust him. That should have been another massive red flag for all of you back then. All that matters is this thing is now dead. It's gone. It's over. It's been revealed. The truth, the dark to light, the truth has come out, y'all. We can finally have the community get back to normal. Now, anyone that's still going to follow this thing is just going to be labeled someone who's in denial. If you're not gonna fucking take your... If you're a QTuber and you're not willing to show Jack P's report, you're not willing to pull up the Discord logs and read them to your community, you're not willing to talk about this, you're not willing to show the real truth, you are exposing yourself for what you really are. And I know some of you are going to be like, well, I'm going to talk about it, I'm just not going to show it to my audience so we can keep them all in it. Go watch these QTubers for the next few days, y'all. See how many of them actually accurately represent this information to their audience. Let's see. Let's see which ones are actually truthful and which aren't. Let's go see. The final pieces of the puzzle just fell into place. We had one piece left when I left off a few weeks ago. I said, yeah, we've got one piece of the puzzle left and we won't know it until the original Q comes out. The entire puzzle is now put together and in front of you. From the very first, from before the first post, from a month before the first post, all the way up to now, we know the full fucking timeline of what was Q behind the scenes. Provable. It would be provable in any court of law. But even more than that, the jury would only need a couple minutes to deliberate before they walked out and convicted these guys. So is Microchip the deceiver? Is Microchip the bad guy? No. Microchip's doing what people do all the time on the chans. The bad guys are the ones, when Microchip realized how big it was getting, he just thought he'd be able to set it down and walk away and let it go into the legend of 4chan until Pamphlet picked it up and warped it apart with his buddies, the QTubers. Nemo and Medic and all these guys. The ones that are taking Pamphlet's invented information and trying to convince you through their lies and rhetoric that it means something more, that someone's ramblings on 4chan and 8chan means something more to us freeing our minds and freeing us from the enslavement of the big corporations and the people behind the government. While the entire time trying to get you to wallow in the government, arguing and fighting. Aren't you ready? Are you not ready? Are you ready to set down the left-right paradigm, put it on the ground, kick it away from you, and go back to just being a human being again? A human being with his own thoughts, with his own side, with his own or her, his or her own opinion. Why do you need a side? Why do you need the right or the left or any of that shit? Support the president you want to support. Hold the opinions you want to hold about how our society should run and our law should work. Vote how you should vote. Be you. Be you. You don't need all this other stuff to be able to change things, make a change, and do what needs to be done. Let's see what you guys think, and let's get out of here. Bruise me not, thank you. Joel Q1 is Brower and Dreamcatcher, whoever that is. Well, what we know for a fact right now is Microchip and Dreamcatcher are the original Q. They've been under the target of a few people that have been investigating for a while now. Why do I think that Brower is Dreamcatcher? Or, I'm sorry, Brower is Microchip? Because of a very old tweet that caused James Brower to delete his entire Twitter account where he was accidentally logged in under the Microchip Twitter. That's what makes me think that James Brower, this character that Jordan Sather said was the original Q way back in the beginning, and this character who went dead on all social media, and coincidentally when Microchip started posting a lot more back after this event happened. But whether you believe that or not is not important. What we know for a fact is the Discord logs show that Microchip invented QAnon with his friend. Why didn't the FBI stop them? I mean, when did they ever stop people posting on 4chan, for God's sakes? It'd been nice if they would have. You know, there has to be a crime committed. And the only crime that we see Q attached to is the YouTubers, you know, lying about what they're doing. See, in order for the FBI to want to prosecute, you know, the current iteration of Q, which is Pamphlet and the Bakers and all the QTubers, the current iteration, these guys that are out doing this shit now, they would have to know what we already know, which is, and give a fuck enough to investigate it. You know, it would probably take a lot more bad shit happening. You'd have to ask them, really. I have theories, but absolutely the bankers are behind it. And what group do these bankers belong to? Provable with names and everything. What group owns Hollywood and the corporate media? Well, when they were on that certain show, what does he have to do with it? Because why would he even have him on the show? Do you think there's a connection? I think that Jordan Sather and the original QTubers were tipped off by Brower. There's reason to believe that Sather knew who Brower was, that one of the people that pull the strings of Sather, you know, like Wilcock and all of them, are in communication with this person we know of as Brower, because Brower's appeared on InfoWars. He's made claims about other things. He was actually being paid attention to back in 17 before Q. by like several different websites, and he was kind of like a political figure for a while, and then he just disappears, coincidentally, right when Q comes out. Now, why the fuck did Sather go on saying that Brower was Q? And then never mention it again, like, who cares? Because Sather's always said the best thing to perpetuate the Q myth because of how much he's gained and profited from it this whole time. Sather will never and would never say anything bad about Q. In fact, I will predict right now what Sather is going to say about Jack. These guys are just throwing out this stupid, crazy stuff, saying that Microchip was the original Q and it wasn't a government leaker. And, you know, they're just going to try to make fake stuff and propagate fake things to people. All right, let's move on. They were really bad. That was just a horrible attempt at it, guys. Nice try. That's what Sather's going to say about this. It's what he said. Every piece of information I've sent him or that he's seen has been just brushing it off and then going into some overcomplicated explanation of what Q's trying to say about something else. Hey, Roy. Anytime. Thanks for being here. Boss says the original Micro was injured and lost vision in one eye at the first Berkeley riots back in 2017. Like I said, for all I know, we still have to investigate this entire thing out. I'm just telling you what we've got up to now. It's going to take a lot more digging and verifying. The only thing we don't need to dig and verify on is these fucking, as far up to now, as far as it is now. Of course, I'm going to run them through more tests. But they pass all initial tests as not being edited whatsoever, these image files Microchip put out. What I think is that Brower had an easy in to InfoWars. Now, I do believe that if Brower is connected to Microchip or is Microchip, that he probably helped facilitate this. That probably could explain why he's been laying low this whole time. He doesn't have a Twitter, he doesn't have a Gab, doesn't post anywhere else. He effectively went dead on this whole thing a while back. So, and right when Q started, why would someone that's gaining traction going on InfoWars and doing other things right before Q, talking right before Q? Like, he goes to InfoWars, he talks to him, he says this stuff that doesn't really get picked up or paid attention to by anybody. Maybe that would be his motivation. I don't know, but all I'm telling you is what information we do have, you know? So yeah, what I've told you from the beginning, this is what I wanted Cicada to do. If Cicada was Q, then when they were posted on 4chan in the beginning, they would have had this. They would have had chat logs to show them brainstorming and figuring out what they were going to post as Q. They would have like images and stuff like that they would have had in their Discord server or other chat server that would show them laughing about people buying it and all this stuff. Cicada has not offered one piece of evidence to corroborate that they had anything to do with this from the start, and that's what I've said the whole time. I have said that if Cicada produces this kind of thing, and this is what I asked Cicada for the whole time, I would pull it up and do what I'm doing right now. It just doesn't have Cicada's name there. Doesn't have anyone's name there other than Microchip and Dreamcatcher. And they are dated before Q, during Q, and when they sat down Q, talking about everything that happened, and it's corroborated by the logs, guys. This is real. This is real. Of course, it's going to be not real to the people that are perpetrating the crime of distracting us and putting us down with this. There you go, 777. Exactly. And then what would you do if you were designated that, but wanted to try to find a way to interject yourself back into social mind? This is the perfect thing to try to do. Go to the anonymous board and fuck with everyone. It's just that for some reason this started to get picked up. Well, we know why. You know why this got picked up? It's more nefarious. I did a video a few weeks ago explaining why the beginning of Q was more nefarious on the YouTube side, because two people should not have made videos and they did. Who were they? Beans and Sather. Beans and Sather. Now we're talking, Q appears on the chans for the first Q post, and you know what they do? Unprovoked. Their past history in their videos, not ever bringing up any type of 4chan mystery like I've done before. No type of like, you know, nothing that would have to do with any of this shit. They both do videos right when the first Q posts start. Within days, if not the next day. Now, it hadn't even gained traction then. People just started talking about it, but they knew that it was going to be this great big thing, or maybe it's a LARP, but look at this. I like it. You know, it could be the biggest thing ever since sliced bread. They were told to do that. They did it, and they've lied ever since then. That's the truth. The evidence is overwhelming. The original QTubers were, they had some kind of tip given to them, some type of thing, some type of request to do this, and they did it. That's not how a truther operates. That's not how you do this shit. You come out and tell people, yeah, some dude messaged me, his name was this, and he said that I should tell you guys about this. For God's sakes, why hide it? Because they knew the nefarious nature of this from the beginning. At least Beans was a good enough person to get out. Sather's still pulling the wool over people's eyes, and he knows what it is in the beginning. He knows it. That's been the problem the whole time. You can't operate like that, man. Not if you're going around telling people, you want to go around and say, I'm misleading everyone, fine, operate like that. Hi, I mislead you, then operate like that. Don't say, I tell the truth and then operate in a misleading way. This whole time, there have been people out there in the face of some of the most damning evidence ever still support Q, all because their wallet gets fat on the 21st of every month when YouTube checks come in, and on the 1st of every month when Patreon checks come in. And the people that give these guys this money need to fucking think, what are you doing? Why are you doing this? These guys aren't affecting the change that QAnon acts like it gives. I'd understand if these guys were affecting that kind of change. They don't. They're just, as I always say, red pilling to pay those bills, baby. So basically, it's now time for you to show what you really are inside. Do you get all down and out and pissed off because you were fooled into this? Or do you stand up and rise to the damn occasion and start trying to do something? Are you defeated? Or are you going to stand up? It's not the end of the world. This kind of shit happens, peeps. The one thing that people want to do when someone comes out to call them out for their bullshit is try to point fingers and say, that guy's a shill, that guy's a bad guy. Right? That dude's misleading you, he's lying. All I've ever done is show you what evidence was there. You don't have to trust me. Take a look at it for yourself. Type it into Google, search that shit out, and open your fucking mind.
Experience Apex, Anti-Pathogen Extreme, Antiviral, Antibacterial, and Anti-Inflammatory. See all the videos on our site. There is nothing else like it. Apex Water for Life.